everybody. Welcome to this very first This is the podcast Liftoff Live. I'm trying something out for a new YouTube channel, and I thought that it would be fun for me to try to do a live stream. So this is for the podcast Liftoff YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that over at podcastliftoff.com/YouTube. If you're watching this somewhere other than YouTube, if you're watching it on YouTube, you just hit the subscribe button. So part of the reason I'm doing this is I'm doing a challenge called YouTube 10 with Matt Ragland and a bunch of other great YouTubers. And I thought for the 10th video, it would be cool to do a live stream and make that the 10th video. And I thought it would be interesting because I'm working on a new podcast. It's called Make Money Podcasting. It's kind of going to go hand in hand with this channel, where I'm working in 2022, I guess the end of 2021, 2022, to increase the number of podcast resources I'm putting out into the world. So if you are tuning in live, be sure to say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from and what kind of podcast questions you have for me today. But in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and get started. So I'll start here. Let me share my screen. Acting like this is the first time I've done a live stream. So I will be working off of this podcast checklist that I've put together that you can get over at podcastliftoff.com/checklist. And it's free. It's an email opt-in, but it's free, so you'll get it. And it's mostly this part. I want to make sure I'm hitting all of the bases here. So answer why am I starting the show, come up with my topic and format, come up with a name, create the artwork. I've done a lot of this stuff already. I've been thinking about this for a little while, and I've been trying to figure out what a good angle for a podcast about podcasting is. And so I'll bring up Apple Podcasts here so we can kind of see. Because if I search, for example, podcasting, it'll do a search. So there's School of Podcasting, Podcast Q&A, the Audacity to Podcast. And a lot of this stuff is kind of about starting a podcast on podcasting. If I search for Make Money Podcasting, now the last time I did this, it didn't show anything. Make Money Podcasting, there's a couple of episodes on that, but there's not a whole show dedicated to it. So I'm still workshopping the name a little bit, but I think Make Money Podcasting is super clear. I'll probably have the first episode be called How Do I Make Money Podcasting? But that's kind of the agenda for today, right? Is coming up with the episodes and planning out the show. So again, if you're watching, let me know if you have any questions, and I would be happy to answer them. I am going to just tweet out. So I have a whole process for this, for Build Something Live, which is my weekly live show or my weekly live stream. But this is the first time I'm kind of doing it. I need to set up a new profile on my Stream Deck because I have an automation that will tweet that I am live, which I'm not doing. Now I'm going to tweet this. I'm trying something out with Restream where I'm live on Twitter, I think. If you're watching from Twitter, let me know. Hey, I'm live right now at... Boom. Okay, so we are all tweeted. How's that look? Okay, so anyway, let's actually get into the planning aspect of it. So we have the checklist. Answer: why am I starting the show? I'm starting the show because this is going to be a major focus of mine for 2022. I've kind of decided that, well, with a little help from my friend Chris, who is a business coach and a good person, that I think that he said a lot of people focus on how to start podcasting. Not enough people focus on kind of how to make money podcasting. And I think that a lot of people believe that the only way to make money podcasting is through sponsorship, right? And it's certainly the most popular way, I would say. But I don't think it's the best way for a lot of people. And I don't think that it's the fastest way for a lot of people either. So that's kind of the charge, right? I'm starting this because I want to help people make money podcasting. So my topic is going to focus all around that. The format is going to be mostly a solo show. It's just going to be me talking to people about how to make money podcasting. And I'm going to put a lot of gosh, what am I looking for here? I'm going to put a lot of my theories into practice, right? So I'm going to experiment and talk about those experiments. I'm going to talk about what's working for me and how people can make it work for them. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. And I'll have some interviews, I think. So I'll talk to other podcast friends about how they're making money. I'll talk to experts in the podcasting field about kind of how other people are making money and trends and things like that. So format, name, we just did, quote unquote research on Apple Podcasts. So Make Money Podcasting, as far as I can tell, is not a show name. If I look at view all, we see, so there's Side Hustle Pro, Music Radio Creative, and a few other ones, but nothing is specifically called Make Money Podcasting. So that's good. I'm gonna go with that, Make Money Podcasting, as the podcast name. And I'll try to maybe think of a couple of other ones, but I think that's probably a good one. I thought about like the podcast monetizing podcast, but like, how many people search monetize, like the word monetize? Why don't I search that as well? Podcast monetize. Monetized. Create, launch, monetize podcast. Profitcast, monetize your podcast. So this isn't a completely unique idea, right? If I search the word monetize. Actually, this one ended in August of 2016. It looks like it was, there were like 100 episodes. A lot has changed since 2016. So, I think that income on auto. So I sometimes build and monetize podcast. It looks like May 19th was the last time this show was out. So I think that I monetize the mic. Updated bi-weekly. Okay, so this one is active. Maybe I should subscribe to this one. Check it out. But I think Make Money Podcasting, again, is probably a good name. I want to spend enough time on the podcast name to make sure it's good and gets found, but I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want this to be the stumbling block for me to not launch this show. So we've got the Make Money Podcasting podcast. let me show you what I've already been working on, right? So the main reason I'm showing you this is not necessarily the actual sponsor stuff, but that'll be stuff I cover in the podcast. So this is the artwork that I quote unquote came up with. This is based on my podcast Liftoff branding. So Make Money Podcasting, the podcast Liftoff logo, and then presented by Podcast Liftoff. So this is something I'm experimenting with, where I want my brand to be the presenting sponsor, but I'm in talks with a couple of other companies who might become the presenting sponsor, right? And I know other shows do this, but this is a good way to add value to podcast sponsorship, where their name is on the actual artwork, and they are granted a presenting sponsor opportunity. So that's one of the experiments I'll be working with this show. So that's the artwork I've come up with. Now, as far as the content ideas, let's see. I have the concept. Go through my checklist here. So let's see. I've got the concept. I want to show you Castos, which is where I'm hosting it. Create the page, episode ideas, intro, and outro. So I'm showing you craft right now. So let's go back to the screen. And let's expand this out a little bit, right? So these are some of the initial ideas I had for the show. Separate show that also publishes Thursdays on my How I Built It feed. How I Built It is my most popular show. It gets about 6,500 downloads per episode over a 30-day span, which is good according to Listen Notes. That's in the top 2%, I think, of podcasts. So I sell sponsorships for that. I have a membership for that, and that one's going pretty well. So that I want this show to quickly gain traction, and I've been experimenting with podcast content on that feed. But that show I want more to be more for small business owners and creators. So what I'm going to do is put the Make Money Podcasting episodes, the first season, in the How I Built It feed. And the call to action will be to subscribe to it separately, so that by the second season, it'll be its own standalone show. And I'm thinking like 10 episode seasons probably. And that's kind of what I'm going to work out here today. So I have a couple of frameworks that I want to work through in these episodes. Clean is the launching framework. So it's create, launch, earn, automate, and network. And then the Smash framework is the actual making money framework, and that's sponsorship, membership, affiliates, selling, and helping. And I'll work through all of those again on the show. I have some resources here for how to name your episodes. I think a lot of people don't do this the best way, right? They'll usually say like episode number with guest name, and that's not really a fun way to do it, because it's not going to grab people, right? You want to grab people with your titles, right? Just like blog posts. This is content that people are going to maybe search for and discover, which is also why having your own website is important. And that's another thing I'll cover on the show. So this is just something here to remind me to make good episode titles, especially because this is not usually an interview show. Usually I come up with the title of the episode for an interview after the interview. I have an idea. I know what we're going to talk about, but I want to pull the thing that grabs people from the interview. So like yesterday, I interviewed Jono Petrohilis of the course creator community on how he built his Facebook group up to, I think it was 2,500 people in 5 months, which is incredible. Now he's at 5,000 or over 5,000, and he runs the biggest personal trainers Facebook group in the world. And so that's pretty cool. And so we talked about a lot of things around course creation, because that's what he's big into now, but also your Facebook group. And we talk about the Facebook algorithm and juicing the Facebook algorithm. So maybe the title of that will be something like how to use the Facebook algorithm to grow your business with Jono Petrohilis. So something like that, right? I want to pull the nuggets out of the interview. But with this, because this is a show that I'm working through and planning myself, and it's going to be solo episodes, I can come up with all of the titles now. And the other thing I can do, which is as an educator, this is something I think I do pretty well, I can structure the show, right? So it's going to be episodic, but it's also going to be like a little bit of a serial show, a series, not like the serial, not a podcast serial. And so here are the first set of ideas I came up with. I think I jotted these down in Quick Notes, in Apple's Quick Notes. So the trailer, you can't read that. It's nonsense. There's no background on this apparently, but the trailer, can you really make money podcasting? And then some ideas: finding your focus, getting consistent, your call to action. Does your podcast have a website? How are you capturing listeners, right? So maybe what I can do here, because I have this set up, this little overhead cam set up here, is start to write some ideas down on this. People who follow my regular feed are always interested in the pen I'm using. This is the Leonardo Memento Zero Grande. This is a special pen I got for myself, and I love it. I love fountain pens. So maybe what I'll do first, right, is as I'm planning these episodes, is create kind of buckets of topics. Buckets. So obviously the SMASH framework is going to be in one, call to action, maybe another, website, another, and then content, right? The SMASH framework separately, because what I want to really drive home here is sponsorship is neither the only nor probably the best way, right? So we'll have an episode on what is sponsorship, getting sponsors, your pitch deck, and then, ROI, nurturing, stuff like that. But then we'll also have like what's a membership, platforms for membership, what to offer in your membership, for affiliates. This is going to be a pretty easy one. Affiliates, what, right? So what are affiliates? Tools for links and good programs, maybe. Selling and helping. So I'll table these for a minute because I want to look at some of the other stuff, because I think the whole first season I might outline the SMASH framework in one episode, right? So which I do have on the list here. But that's not where you need to start when we're talking about making money podcasting. We need to start with building your audience, right? And so build your audience is probably one episode. Or maybe why you should build your audience. Your call to action, again, is another one. This is something I talk about all the time. You need a good call to action, and it should probably be to get people to your mailing list. So where should you send people? Another one again, it could be email list or Facebook group, but I think capturing those email addresses is probably the most important thing. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or follow on Apple Podcasts now is pretty terrible. It's a pretty terrible one because 30% of people use Apple Podcasts. There's no way for you to get the subscriber information from Apple Podcasts, so you can't really directly market, right? And if you're going to make money podcasting, you need to be able to do that. Because again, our goal here is not to rely on sponsors. I'm trying to move reliance away from sponsorship for my podcast. I love my sponsors. Don't get me wrong. I love my sponsors. But I don't expect them to continue to float me forever, right? They're very generous, and I hope they're getting ROI. That's another thing that we would talk about on the show, but it's really hard to track. And most sponsors probably should understand that it's more about brand awareness than getting that immediate buy. I think my long-term sponsors absolutely do understand that. But, Coca-Cola is not running TV commercials to get people to go out and buy Coke at that moment. Just like car dealers aren't running ads to get people to buy a minivan that day. But when it comes time for me to buy a minivan, I'm going to remember the Toyota Sienna or whatever. So I think that you need to actually, that's probably a good one. Framing sponsorships. And my goal here is to come up with 25 ideas for episodes that I can then organize into the first season. That I can then record and batch, right? And with a solo show, this is a lot easier to do. You want to be able to give yourself some breathing room. This is the first real announcement of the show, to be honest. And so I'm talking to a presenting sponsor, and hopefully I can get them booked before I launch the show, which I'd like to do in December. Or at least have the trailer out for December, right? Or sooner. So I want to try to get 25, maybe 30 episodes written down, organized, and then I can take a day and record all of them. Or record 5 of them and then record the other 5, send them out for edit. So the call to action, the website stuff is going to be really important. The other thing I'm going to do here is while I'm aiming to have a presenting sponsor, the other goal of this show is to help me establish my authority. And again, implement the SMASH framework, right? So sponsors, members will have access to bonus stuff as part of the Build Something Club. Affiliates, sure. And then sell and help. So with sell, you're either selling a direct product, right? So if you sell the best toothbrush on the market, or you believe it's the best toothbrush on the market, you're going to have a podcast about dental hygiene, I guess. And that's a terrible one. Let's say that you sell the most comfortable hoodie, right? So maybe you have a podcast about ways to stay warm in the winter, right? Or ways to stay comfortable in all sorts of weather, right? And this is like a lifestyle podcast. And when you talk about how it's getting cold in the autumn, right? Then you could talk about how you create this breathable hoodie that is perfect because it keeps you warm when it's cold, but then when it gets to like 70 degrees, it's not too hot and you can unzip it and whatever. So it's going to be more tactful than that, but that's the selling part of it. You create physical products and you have a podcast to help people solve the problems that your physical products solve. And then you can also talk about those products Doesn't have to be physical, I guess, but a digital product too, right? Like, so ClickUp could have a podcast about project management and productivity. And then they could talk about all the ways that ClickUp helps with that. And then help. So what's the difference between selling and helping? Well, helping, I think, is for educators, coaches, and consultants. So those are authors, right? These are people who are selling information. So sell and help are going to be kind of my two other ways that I do this, right? So I'm going to sell my podcast liftoff services, one of which is going to be a podcast landing page. I'm going to talk about the importance of a podcast landing page when capturing your audience, and then I'll also talk about the service I offer. And the same thing with help, right? If you're trying to make money podcasting, well, I just had a coaching client who landed his first sponsor because of my coaching. So great. That is, first of all, it's social proof, but also I'm talking about all of these things. If you want me to help you specifically, you can check that out over at podcastliftoff.com. I think if you do it the right way, right? Podcasting's expensive and time consuming. So you want to try to make money without overselling. You want to provide value without overselling. And so that was a little bit of a tangent, I guess. But the point of it all is when we're talking about planning these episodes, I want to make sure that I structure them in such a way that continuously delivers a similar message over a series of episodes. And so when we talk about the call to action, your call to action can make or break you, right? What makes a good call to action? Well, you need someplace to send your listeners. So you need a website, or why you need a landing page. And then another episode could be 3 places to build your podcast landing page. And from there, right, now this is other content that I could put in a YouTube video where I demo each of these. And then I can also talk about my landing page service, right? So now I'm going to talk about landing page, but what about show notes? Well, now you need more than a landing page. Now you need a website. Why a website? Or maybe why your show notes page is important. Five things your website should have. Maybe something like, can you just use your audio host for the website? I think no, and there's a bunch of reasons why. So how am I doing so far? I've got 13 ideas up here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 ideas. 5 things you can automate, the Smash framework. Should you hire an editor? Should you hire an editor is a good one. But how to make content that sells? I'm not sold on that one. How to make content that sells, establishing your authority. But now I'm maybe running out of steam. So what I will do is something that I teach my students that they should do is repurpose. So I'm going to go to Podcast Liftoff, and I'm going to go to the articles here. So what are some of the things I've talked about on Podcast Liftoff that might be make money podcasting? The one thing all podcasters can do to engage more listeners. This is a blog post where I talk. So this is actually a blog post about an episode I recently did where I answer common questions. So I don't know if I can repurpose this, but I can take those episodes and put them in the main feed, in the Podcast Liftoff feed, right? 4 types of editing to consider. This could be kind of part of an efficiency series, right? Maybe that's not the first season, but one way that your podcast can make more money is by spending your time in the right place. This is all about publishing and staying consistent. Things you can do to prevent pod fade, again, kind of being consistent. Why podcasting can be the best publicity channel for your book. What mowing the lawn has to do with your podcast losing money. I think this is probably a good one, right? So I don't know if you could see that. Let me get rid of my face temporarily. It's all about opportunity cost and what opportunity cost has to do with, if you're spending 3 hours editing each episode, well, then that's not time you're spending on content or marketing your show or growing your audience. And yeah, it's money, right? But for $40, you can get some simple edits done. And that's all you really need in the beginning, right? You're not Wondery. You're not NPR. No one's expecting you to be. As long as it sounds good and you take out the mess ups and you clean up the audio a little bit, which you can do for $40, now is your hourly rate, right? Is 3 hours of your time worth $40? Or is 1 hour of your time worth $40? I would say yes. So that's kind of the idea of why you should hire an editor, why you should hire other people to do the things that don't focus on your core business. What's the best CTA for podcasts? Got that one. 4 ways to make podcasting easier through automation. The automation's probably going to be a big focus of the show as well. Do I need video? Why gear matters least? I think this will probably be a good one. Podcast do's and don'ts. 4 ways to make money. This is again with the SMASH framework. Why you should promote your book. Podcast to expand your network. I think networking is going to be an important topic as well, because it's not just acquiring new listeners, but if you have a podcast and you have people on the podcast, you can form a relationship with them. And I've done that with quite a few of my guests, where we now have a long-term working business relationship because they came on the show. We learned a little about each other, and we like working with each other. So that's another kind of benefit. Building trust. I think this will be a topic as well. So I can kind of pull from these blog posts I've written as well. So I don't want to belabor this planning point too much, but if you are starting a new show, I would recommend you come up with 25 to 30 episode ideas and then pick 10 to record. The 10 I'm probably going to record. I'll put all of these ideas in Airtable and then organize them, but the 10 ideas are probably very similar to what's up here. Finding your focus, getting consistent, and then your call to action. I'll talk about the SMASH framework, right? That's probably an early episode because I want to lay out for you, hey, there's more than just sponsorship out there. But first, you need to do these 5 things. And then once we do these 5 things, then let's talk about the SMASH framework in depth. So I think that'll be a good direction to go in. Okay, so let's talk about, what are the other things I wanted to talk about here? I want to show you something pretty nifty with Castos. Now, something I wish Castos would do is allow multiple domains. I understand why they don't, but maybe for like an extra some amount of money, maybe I could add a secondary domain. But the Make Money Podcasting podcast. So first of all, you can create as many podcasts as you want in a single Castos account. Their value proposition is not with the number of episodes that you have. Their value proposition is with a few other things, analytics and private feeds and things like that. So I have all of my shows here. Make Money Podcasting is going to be an interesting one because I'm going to publish the show to how I built it for the first 10, and then I'm worried I'm going to kind of lock the management there, which I don't really like, but that's something I'll have to figure out. Number of episodes in your feed, I'm just going to change this to 500 now. I have, so actually, let's write a description here. Let's see. So this goes back to my why. Why am I starting the show? I'm starting the show because there's more to making money podcasting than just sponsorship. Wondering when you're going to land the first sponsorship so your podcast can actually become profitable? What if I told you there's more to revenue opportunities? What if I told you there are more revenue opportunities than just sponsorship? I don't like that wording. On Make Money Podcasting, you'll learn all the ways you can grow your audience and make money with or without sponsors. All right, so it's a clear value proposition at least. Country of origin, United States. Host name, Joe Casabona. Website. Podcastliftoff.com/money. I thought about doing podcastliftoff.com/podcast, but that's too much probably. Maybe show. Let's just see. Oh, that's more than I want to spend. Make Money Podcasting dot. I don't want to do show either. Make cash podcasting. Build. Live IO. Make Money Podcasting dot live. No. Make Money Podcasting dot me. No. Dev hosting. This is not really something I plan to do here, but is show one of them? Show is available. FM is probably also available, but like $90. Yeah, $90 is more than I want to spend on a domain. Hey, Daniel, thanks for being here. Thanks for popping into the chat. I also love Castos. I'm a big fan. So let's... live is... No. I mean, $30 for the .show is probably fine. Style, art and design, home services, professional services, finance. Media, audio, chat, digital, FM, graphics, blog, news, productions, press, show, stream, tube, TV, video, webcam. The art of making money podcasting is interesting. It is. I think that well, first of all, podcasting is still in its infancy a little bit. I think people who have been podcasting for a while think it's saturated, but .art. Hey, let's see. I mean, it's an affordable one for sure. MakeMoneyPodcasting.art. Why not? .show. Yeah. I mean, I could do .org, but that's like 80% of people remember the .com. Let's see what this shows up with, or comes up with. Money Podcast Now, Money Business Podcast, The Cash Podcast, Money Music Now. These are not great. Okay. Well, this is something I'll figure out later. For now, in Castos, podcastliftoff.com/show. Funding. Become a member. Build something club. Okay. So the podcast is updated there in Castos. Let's, as we wrap up this live stream, oh yeah, that's a really good point. What is at the .com right now? I hope it's nothing unsightly. Duh, it's just a squatter. Just a squatter. I've never worked with a domain broker before. Who did? Corey Haynes just did. Maybe I'll ask him what that was like. So the domain is something I'll solve. Future Joe will solve that. Craft. So now let's, as we kind of wrap up here, create the page on Podcast Liftoff. I'll do later. Intro and outro, right? So I want to have a good intro and outro. I always call this the format page. So it'll be the intro. Making money. Damn squatters. Making money podcasting is no longer just about getting sponsors. On the Make Money Podcasting show, you'll learn. This is all off the top of my head. I'm probably going to rework this. Tips and tricks to... No, not tips and tricks. Tried and true methods to increase your revenue and turn your podcast from a money pit into a money maker. Hi, I'm Joe Casabona. I've used my podcasts to create six figures with my podcasts. AJ, am I streaming only on Facebook today? I'm not. I'm streaming over on my other YouTube channel, podcastliftoff.com/YouTube. There was a little preamble, but basically I have a new YouTube channel, and I'm doing, we're both in the YouTube challenge together, so this is the 10th video for that YouTube channel. I thought it would be fun to do a live stream of it. And thanks for being here. So, hi, I'm your host. Gosh, I don't like that. I'll share everything I know with you here on Make Money Podcasting, presented by presenting sponsor. Gonna workshop that more. And then it'll be the main topic. Sponsor read at 10-minute mark. I probably want this to be a 15, 20, maybe 20-minute show. So there's that. And then the outro. Actually, you can find all of the show notes and links at URL/episode number. Now, I might have a call to action in the beginning, too, right? Like a pre-roll call to action. But probably not for the first few episodes. Mailing list, probably. And then the outro. Thanks so much for listening to Make Money Podcasting, presented by Jeep. Sorry, that's like a Yankee joke. Presented by presenting sponsor. For all of the show notes and to subscribe, you can head on over to URL/ep number. Thanks so much to our sponsors. Until next time, catchphrase. Could just be get out there and build something, but that's my other one. Until next time, I'm Joe Casabona, and I can't wait to see what you make. Get it? Because it's like make money and make a podcast. Maybe. Okay, so we got our intro, our outro, And the last thing I'll do here is start to outline an episode 0. Trailer. Oh, I don't need the... Thank you, Daniel. Trailer. You want to hook the listener. You don't just want to say a bunch of blah blah stuff, right? Now, what you do want to do is tell people what the show is about and what they're going to learn, right? So I will include this bit in the trailer, but not at first. At first, I want to talk about maybe something for before the creator economy, right? When TV first started accepting advertising, commercials were the only way to make money. But today, you can get streaming services. Well, because sponsorship is still about making money. Sponsorship. I don't want to make it seem like we're never going to talk about sponsorship. But I definitely want to start with a story. All right, we're just going to brainstorm. We are going to brainstorm on a different piece of paper, actually. Oh, that's not what I want. That's too much of me. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to start kind of word vomiting. TV ads. Hobby to job. Passion to business. Direct to consumer, creator economy, Daniel, thanks for watching. Yeah, I've got a setup here. This is the face cam, is the overhead camera, and the Stream Deck is allowing me to switch between cameras, and I'm managing everything through Ecamm Live. I'll probably break that down on my main YouTube channel. But thanks for being here, and if you need anything, let me know. Awesome. Okay, so we've got TV ads, hobby to job, creator economy. Excellent. I will add that to the vote count on that's in the queue for one of my next YouTube videos, I think, on the main channel. Awesome. Okay, so TV ads. All right, the mission is to help people make money podcasting, right? I want to show them that there are other ways besides sponsorship to make money, by building their audience. When I launched my podcast, no. I don't want this to be about me. The first time you do something, the reason I want to spend a lot of time here is because just like any good trailer, you want to hook the listener. You don't have a lot of time to do that. On a podcast, you have about 30 seconds to hook a listener. Just like a talk, right? When you give a good talk, you shouldn't come out and just say who you are at first. People are either there because they know who you are, or they're there because they're interested in the topic. And so you want to hook them and let them know, yes, I know what I'm talking about. Tell them who you are later, okay? And then you need a strong call to action, right? So the format for your trailer should be story, the punchline of the story, which is what the show is about and why you started it, when the show will be live, not necessarily specific date, but coming in, January, whatever. And then a strong call to action. If you want to get the first episodes, you can join my mailing list, right? Head on over to podcastliftoff.show to sign up. So we definitely want to do all of that, but the story is so important. So what can we talk about here as a creator who wants to take their hobby and start making money with it, or a creator who is ready to take it to the next level? I tell a lot of stories about Walt Disney. I'm also going to have to end this soon. I tell a lot of stories about Walt Disney, and I think he's just very inspiring, but one of the things that he did was he brought everything in-house because he kept getting bamboozled, we'll say, by other businesses, animation studios, bigger companies. That's not really where I want to go, though. Maybe I want to talk about, like, not necessarily memberships and communities. Different streams, feast and famine, what works for them won't work for you. Imagine giving a talk to an empty room. Imagine giving a talk to an empty room. You've given the talk lots of times, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And that's because it seems like every time you give the talk, you're starting from scratch. That's kind of what it can be like when you podcast. I'm somewhere with the talk to an empty room thing. Okay. Unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to leave it, though. Thank you so much for... Oh, gosh. Keep hitting the wrong button, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked this video, if you want to see more planning sessions like this, let me know. And this is a pretty new channel, so I would love if you could subscribe to the Podcast Liftoff channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, podcastliftoff.com/YouTube. Head over there and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching. Until next time, get out there and build something.